cares about what's going on with Southwest. But it is a good example of math. Southwest had a huge collapse over Christmas break. Like on Christmas is really when it all went down. Their computer systems failed. People were trying to manually do things that normally an algorithm does. Like what we're learning here in middle school, like goes into all of that other stuff, like way up high that all those smart people do to make the world work. And it fell apart for Southwest at least. So that's why my plans did not happen. We're trying to reschedule that. But all of that to say, learn your math or else things like that will happen. Yeah, Ren?
Actually, my uncle was going to come in for Christmas. That did not happen.
Yep.
Because, like, the day that he was going to come in crashed.
Yep. So fortunately, we got stuck here in Columbus. So I just wasted all of Christmas Day sitting in the airport when I should have been on my way down to Cancun. But whatever, I got to hang out with my nephew Finn. So right now, you are looking at your mastery. The entire thing, all the feedback I gave you. Your mastery not having a grade on it should not be a surprise. We've done this before. I gave you feedback. I did not assign your grade because really, this is for you. The work is for you. The feedback is for you. The grade is for you. Like, we probably agree, or you're probably going to be tougher on yourself than I am, but take a minute or two, quit doodling or shading or whatever you're doing that is not math. I see you. Make the better choice. Determine what you think you would give yourself. Put that on the top right of your paper. If you can't figure it out yet, we will go over the test here in just a minute. But you should be able to get a pretty good gauge of, did you show that you know what's going on? Or did you show you probably need some more practice? Number 7 doesn't matter. Most of us got number 7 wrong. A couple of us got it right. Way to go if that was you. Literally 2 of us in this class. No, 3. Sorry, literally 3 of us got 7 right. That's it.
So it, like, doesn't count?
I mean, it counts as a question that you either got right or wrong, and when I show you how to do it, you're probably going to go, oh, come on. Because it's way easier than what most of you guys made it. And guess and check is not an effective method. Yeah, you got 7 right.
I did. You said check, but then you said easy, close. Very
Oh,
close?
well, you were very close. I have a check for you, meaning you got it more right than most people. Hey, it doesn't, do not raise your hand right now to ask me if you got 7 right. That is not the game we're playing right now. Take like a minute more. I got other papers to pass back to. Then we will go over the entire test.
Are we allowed to grade each other?
No. Why would you do that? That's silly. Have you accomplished the task you were asked to do?
Do this? Well, yes.
No, you hadn't. See why I had to take that away?
I found a stupid mistake.
Because did you actually critically look at the entire test?
Yes, I did.
Oh. Because I do not have confidence that you did, and you're back there playing the Rubik's Cube.
I have checked X except for one problem, and I can explain that to you.
Okay. So that's good to hear. But when you're playing with the Rubik's Cube and your test, when you're playing with the Rubik's Cube and your test doesn't have on it what I asked you to do, but that tells me you weren't processing in the right order. Let's start talking about answers. In number 1, it was phrased in different ways on purpose. So when it asks 24 is what percent of 60? 24 is your part, 60 is your whole. You can really do 24 divided by 60, and that gets you to 0.4. Or you can set up proportions and set up like 24 over 60, relate that to 4 over 10, relate that to 40 over 100. Bunch of ways to do it. And B, 24 is 20% of what number? A lot of you took the 10% method on this one, which is great. If 24 is 20%, what is 10%? 12. So if you figure out that 12 is 10%, 120 is your 100%. Yeah.
You could have also, like, if 20 times 5 is 100%, you could have multiplied
Yep.
it by 5.
Absolutely. There's shouldn't say always, but there's almost always other ways to do it, right? And then what is 19% of 60? That's like a raw calculation. You pretty much need a calculator. Some of you were pretty sweet and did like the 10% is 60 and 1% would be 0.6. You could do it manually, but also because you're allowed to use a calculator, you could have just grabbed a calculator. If any of these are wrong or did not get gotten to, like you didn't do them, on your graph paper, nothing is changing on the original test. I'm not looking at your original test again. Any work you write on the original test will be lost. It will be a waste of time. Graph paper. Any questions? I can only repeat myself so many times. Any questions on number 1 before we move on? Got it wrong, don't know why. See, that's the point of checking our work. Number 2, so many of us missed because you didn't practice this when we learned it. Percent change up and percent change down will not be the same thing unless you get real lucky. It would have to be a very particular situation for percent change up and percent change down to be the same. It is always the delta, meaning the change. Guys, that triangle we talked about in class is the Greek symbol delta. It means change. It's the change over the original, the cost you came from, which is why A and B solve differently, because the cost that we're coming from changes. The amount that we change by doesn't change. It's still 231 on top, but the amount that we came from is changing. Did you ever get a chance to take this? I think you're stuck in between my folders. You should have brought it up, but I didn't give you one back. Williams. Like, because I think I graded yours. Right, so I'm pretty sure this is a me thing. What may have happened is you might still be on my desk at home, because your paper was separate from the other tests. That, or you might be in here. Either way, just follow along. And then it's recorded too, so we can always go back, or you and I can meet together. Any questions on number 2? Why those are different? Percent change up, percent change down. Number 3. If we take the units given to us and convert to if I need to cover that amount of distance in 30 minutes, or if I need to cover that amount of distance in 20 minutes, either way, we can convert up to an hour and get 2.6 or 3.9. Questions on that one? Solid? This was a fun one that some people got real creative. These are only 2 examples of the answers. Some people gave me like, I think somebody gave me like feet per second, or like somebody went crazy and they went like inches per hour, or like you could do a bunch of different stuff here. Because I didn't tell you what units, right? I just said how fast. That leaves the choice up to you. So yes, this is approximately true. And yes, I know this number feels slightly like evil, because if you know, like 666 is like the sign of the devil, according to, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, 66,666.6 repeating forever, just because how the division works out. Or if you want to make it a little bit of a nicer number, 1.6 million miles per day. Guys, that's wild to think about. We're traveling 1.6 million miles per day. Yeah.
You said that I got so close, but I think I got this one. Wait. I think I might have put them wrong.
I think your decimal places are wrong.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so close, but decimal place matters. You're either going to be going 10 times too fast or 10 times too slow, and neither of those are probably what you want. Val, what's up?
So for some reason, you put like 3 underlines under my H.
Because your units are wrong. Double check the work that you did. I do not think what you meant was hours. We can go over it later. I told you I had your test somewhere. losing track of you guys.
Oh
You're sitting
no.
right in
Yeah,
front,
you're
so
right.
keep
It's
looking
not-
up.
it's supposed to be miles per day.
There it is. Guys, I care an awful lot about my job and you guys learning. I take good time to check and give feedback on this stuff, even when my feedback isn't that big. The more feedback I give, the less thinking you'll do. So I only give enough feedback to try to push you in the right direction. Otherwise, you are welcome to come work with me. Like, always, you're welcome to come work with me. All right, ready to move on from that one? Notice that I did not show my steps in between, but I showed what I got to. Because what would I do first here? I mean, okay, we could divide first. But you have to make sure you divide everything. Now, some of you remembered fraction busters, or decimal destroyers, I think is what I'm also going to call that, where you could multiply this entire thing by 10. Some of you multiplied by 10 to start to make your life easier. You don't have to, but you could. Either way we get down. Now be careful. Negative 0.45. Some of us missed this sign because you just worked too quick and you forgot to bring the sign with you. I think that was the biggest, just kind of silly mistake, was forgetting that negative there. Any questions on 5? Like what I did to get... That's not the only route, right? That's not the only way to get where we need to go. It's just the way that I take. It's like I avoid Sawmill Road because I got hit on Sawmill Road, like my car, like somebody drove into me, so I avoid Sawmill Road. So the route I take is not necessarily the route other people take. You don't have to take my route, but you got to get to the right spot, right place, right answer. No? Oh no, gravity. Thank you. That's a little. Actually, I think I'm out of tape too. Oh, Val, sorry.
Shouldn't the 5.94 be negative? Because
No, because what would I do on both sides to get... Did you already see it?
brain hurts.
Brain hurts. We would add 6.94 on both sides, making this a positive 5.94.
I hate when equations like flip because it like hurts my brain.
That's why we do that, to make sure that you're versatile. If you only ever practice one play, Zach, help me out. What's like a soccer play? Give me a name of a play. 1-2. If you only ever practice a 1-2 and you get in a game and your 1-2 setup won't work for your opponents, you got another play you could do instead? That sounds way too funny. Like, guys, you have to practice in different ways or you only know one play. And then you get beat. And we don't want to get beat. We want to win. We want victory. Negative 84. Some of us dropped the negative. All right, any questions on 6? Hey, remember, this is recorded. If you need to go back and see answers again, this will probably be up before you get to extensions. Oh, by the way, on the 17th when I'm gone and you, fortunately don't have to deal with me that day, you do get to, however, have as your guest teacher, Mrs. Goldring.
Yes!
See, Mrs. Goldring slays. She's awesome. So, 7. Way less difficult than everybody made it. Let's talk about 7 real quick. I have a couple angry faces like, wait, are you mad that I'm telling you it's not as difficult as you made it? Guys, notice that I did my work in pencil just because I was slightly worried, what if I want to erase something? So, Margot starts with a certain amount. What do we call the amount we start with? Principal. So, Margot starts with principal. She's going to make interest, and she wants to end up with $16,000. Now, when we make simple interest, how do we calculate interest? Zach? add, but quicker than add, multiply. We're going to multiply the principal amount. So
You use exponents.
we do not stop talking to your dad about compound interest. Tell him to hush up. We're doing simple right now. Okay, your dad's too smart. Tell him he can't help you anymore unless he can walk it back to simple interest. He's trying to get you to use compound interest. Stop it. So, principal times rate times time. You guys have this in your notes from simple interest. Principal times rate times time. Regardless of what order we go in, 7% rate, 0.07. 4 years, what's 4 times 0.07? It's 0.28. So the interest we're going to make is 0.28 of P. So guys, watch. Look up here. Put pencil down. You don't even need to correct 7. 7's not even needed. It was just to see who was our deep thinkers. We start with 100%. We start with what we start with. We're going to earn interest. Hey guys, unless you can do this, and I know who did this right, we're going to earn interest. Everything I highlighted in green is our interest. It's 7% of our principal for 4 years. Well, some of you said, really, that's 28%, which you're right. Really, because if that happens for 4 years, that's 28%. So what we'll have at the end is actually 128% of what we started with. So to figure out what we started with, divide by 1.28, we started with 12,500. This was not necessary to get to mastery, but this is the sort of thing accountants do, right? So if your parents want to go to their accountant and say, I want to have $16,000 available for Margot when she leaves for college, this is what an accountant might do. Now, the accountant's probably using compound interest because that's what banks are normally using. You can get simple interest, like a savings bond, things like that. Like those are like very fixed terms. Yeah.
Both my mom's sisters and my step-uncle are
Accountant?
Yeah.
Don't feel like you have to become an accountant just because your family is. My brother-in-law is an accountant, and he wanted me to become one. He still gives me a hard time that I could make more money. I tell him he could make more of a difference. Guys, everyone wants to throw shade at teachers because we don't make enough money. Guess who's in charge of that? Everybody else. Guess who's not in charge of that? Us. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I just hopefully have enough to live. When Aaron was 10 years old, he inherits 10 grand. Must be nice. So, $10,000 times 6% interest. Oh, yeah, 0.67 to 6.7 times 6 years. He'd make $4,020. Now, you can't find interest rates this high right now. You cannot. Unless you're borrowing money, and that's the wrong side. Like houses. If I go and buy a house right now, it's about 5% interest rate. My house that I have is about 2% interest rate because when I bought it, rates were bottomed. Now they're back up a bit. So, 14,020 compared to 16,000. You could argue either one of these. Anyone want to tell me their argument for choosing account A, even though it actually shows less money? Come on, be bold. Tell me you chose A and why. Noah?
it was a 6.67, right?
Yes. Yeah, but for only 6 years.
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say.
Lucy?
I didn't actually choose this, but I can play devil's advocate. So,
Yeah.
For the 6.67 for 6 years, he would get more money faster. So, like, imagine he had to, like, spend something really expensive. Like, he was, like, in debt with, like, a mafia gang.
Okay. Hopefully not when you're 16, but okay. Because he's 16 at this point.
He had to,
Buy his first car.
yeah. Yeah, that too. Or he had to, like, give it to them when he was 16 and he wasn't going to have quite enough money if he had 6% over 10 years to give you that.
Well, and a couple people argued if he chooses the 10-year account, he won't have his money when he goes to college. because he won't get this back until he's 20. Now, the easier argument to make was this account because you'll end up with more money.
Money.
And if he pulls out this money right now and tries to reinvest it, to invest money right now, you'd be lucky to get 2%. You'd be lucky to get 2%. 6 years ago, if I had invested money, I could have had a better percent, because when borrowing rates are low, investing rates are high. Like, they kind of counteract, like, it's a weird, we don't need to get into it, but it's really weird. So if you have money and you want to invest it, there are good times and bad times. If you need to borrow money, there are good times and bad times.
So my grandparents are like, my mom's parents are like huge like investing people.
Yeah.
And so for Christmas, they got all their grandchildren, me and my little brother,
Savings
and, like,
bond.
baby cousin, yeah, savings bond,
Yep.
Fidelity. And
You want to really quickly explain what a savings bond is?
So basically, it's where they have set an account for like us that they're managing for us, where they put in like a set amount of money, and then they put in money per month to invest in other things.
Yeah, and there's actually different types of, like, there's CDs, which is a certificate of deposit. There's all sorts of different investment accounts. Some are safer than others. These are like savings bonds, and CDs are safer investment accounts, as opposed to, like, if you put your account into like a variable rate or something that changes with the stock market, you might not be making very much this month. You might make more next month. You might lose money. Like, it depends on what kind of account. Savings bonds are safe, right? Savings bonds are a safe thing. That's why it's called a bond.
Yeah, I've been watching stocks on my phone because the Starbucks is really
Right. All right, so this one was interesting. It made my grading really difficult. So I spent a long time grading this question because what I had to check for was, did you have, I only want to say this once, did you have two numbers between 1 and 15 on your stem and leaf?
Yeah.
Now, guys, you could start your stem and leaf like we normally do, but some of you got real crafty and you were like, not today. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, which I don't think there's any rule against this. So, examples of things that could work. Right? Examples of things that could work. For 1 to 15, I don't know, 10 and 11. I don't know, 10 and 11. For 16 to 30, and guys, a lot, like, those of you that I could tell were like, I'm going to do this right, but I'm going to take the easy route. Between 16 and 30, I don't know. Just choose in the 20s to make my life easy. 21, 22, 23, right? Those would all fit in here. What would fit in this range? All of the 30s pretty much, except for 30. Guys, be careful. 30 belongs here, not up here. A couple of you got caught by the 10 value. So up here, I could do like 31, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, because 31 fits in there. There are 6 numbers in there, like, and that knocks it out. For the 4 in this range, the 50s are all included in there. So 50, 1, 2, 3, 4. In that range, all of the 70 to 75, so 71, 72. You don't have to make it harder than it is.
Oh my gosh.
And notice how my stem and leaf kind of looks like the histogram, except for the... Yeah.
I didn't know we were allowed to do that because I thought you would probably get mad, so I didn't do it.
My green.
Why would I get mad when you're solving something more efficiently?
My old teacher.
Your old teachers need to take a vacation.
Yeah. My old teacher said he's like 6.
I need to take a vacation, but I'm going to try to just ride out this school.
Go for it. Take a vacation.
I tried. It failed. Weren't you here at the beginning of class? All right. I got 10 minutes left. We got to keep rolling. Your box and whisker should pretty much look exactly like this. If you goofed up on quartile 1 and quartile 3, you need practice on that. The median here, I think most of us got. Quartile 1 and quartile 3 were the potential goof-ups, because it was between the 7 and 9, between 32 and 36. And then 11. Guys, some of you, I think, have like a see me or a say more or something, because you were supposed to say like describe and what kind of, like, and describe. So obviously this is just my answer key, but most of you said like 4 people did not bring a kid to work for like why it would make sense for a take your child to work today. Now, if you just said kids and adults, like, okay, that's, I mean, sure. Like if you want to have the like least effort possible. Sorry, Lucy.
I realized that I goofed up, but I accidentally said middle school kids and maybe newborn baby parents.
For which?
For C.
Yeah, so... So, yeah, I think you thought these were like 11, 12, 12, 11, like not thinking they were actually 0, 1. Yeah, 0, 2. So, guys, this means 1, 2, because if the tens place is 0, if the tens place is 0, this is just 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, a 2-year-old.
I was close. I said newborn baby parents, so like I worked around it. I got it.
Yeah? Hey, Mason, cool your judgment, man. I have a friend who had their first child in high school. Like, that happens, right? You guys will learn more about that next year. And hopefully, we all can control when we will have our children that we want or don't want. Like, I do not want kids right now. Notice how many kids I have? 0. Okay, I have my dogs. Leah. For B, I think. For B, like a take your kid to work day. So if we were trying to define like kids versus adults, right? So like kids would have been like, no, so like these would all be kids, right? Because 11, 12, 11, 11, but then 23, not a kid, right? So adults, adults, adults. And that's how a lot of you said, oh yeah, 4 people didn't bring kids to work because maybe they don't have a kid to bring to work because they get enough kids through their work.
You can bring one of your dogs.
You're sick of kids. You don't need any more.
You know, my resort I was supposed to be at in Mexico was kid-free. It was adults only. Did not get to go. Yes.
With these kids, if you really don't like one of your kids, then they move on next year. But if you actually have a kid, if you don't like them, you're stuck with them.
For 18 years.
What's 18 years?
So guys, again, stem and leaf plots are a decent way to visualize data. But like, it's up to you to decide what you like better. So when we get down to part C, literally my answer key says depends. Depends. If you can hear it, we can hear it. So up here, stem and leaf plot, just double check you got all your numbers. Both the median and the quartiles, all of those fall in between numbers. So median, I got to find the average there. A little bit easier to average for quartile 1. I don't know, a little bit easier for quartile 3, but it depends if you notice that 90 is 6 away from both of them. Stem and leaf plot. General box plot, not parallel, my bad. Your box plot should be wider here than it is here. Because, guys, this gap is almost 30. This gap is only 10. 11. But, like, right, this shows a distance of 30, whereas this only shows a distance of 11. Right, so this should be wider is really what I was I didn't really mark anyone's box plot wrong if you had the right numbers. But if you're trying to draw it so it shows you the data, like, spread, because what we're looking at is how spread out, how close together is our data. This shows the spread. This shows that our data is tighter on the top end, right? Like, on the higher values, our data is closer together. Yeah.
I got all the right numbers, but I think I was really confused because the wrong side is longer than the other.
Yeah, you probably just didn't, like, critically think about how you were drawing. You probably just drew it kind of
Maybe
quickly.
I just wanted the test to be over.
I mean, maybe. Oh yeah, that was the last question, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All right, so if you, hold up, because this is the do you have homework. If you have fixed anything you need to fix on your test, On your graph paper, yes. Anything that you made mistakes on your test that has now been fixed on the graph paper, thank you for clarification, you may staple that graph paper to the front, because you want the new stuff on front to be able to see the new stuff. Staple it on the front so that when I hand it back, you see your new grade first. But make sure that you gave yourself a grade from when you turned in your test. So guys, the grade going on your test, on the front of your test, like up here, is when you turned it in. What would you have given yourself, right? Like, what do you think? Is it mastery? Is it progressing? Is it exemplary? If you got 7 right, like that might be exemplary. Like for real, if you got everything right and you got 7 right, you can probably give yourself an E. But that is all the time we got. No, I got 5 minutes left. You got 5 minutes left to do whatever. Do that or, yeah. Staple, yeah. Well, I can put a stapler over there too. Staple to the front, please. Violet, did that get stapled? Did you secretly have a staple? Yeah, somehow you did. Somehow you stapled that. Oh, you snuck my stapler. Yes.
Did you change the graph paper in the back?
Did I change? I don't know. I'm just cycling through what you guys gave me. Have you seen my supply of graph paper?
No.
Come here. I will show you
I'm
mountain
extremely
graph paper.
efficient.
You are? No, I'm not.
It's a mountain of graph paper. So, it's whatever's on your why you make it
I'm so proud of myself. I got 7. Yay! Did you get all the others? No. Oh, if you had to, you should
Oh. Yeah, this is almost down to the very bottom. This is y'all are lucky you should come in right now. Well, that somebody just had a graphic notebook thing. That's like my indication that we're at the bottom of the file.
Yeah.
So I make mistakes that I use.
Yes, 40% is 32% of this.
No, 24 what percent?
Yeah.
I'll give you the other one. It's too big. Yeah. I got it a really low kind of market day. And it looks like this one. And I was gonna give it to somebody, but I didn't know who. And you gave me that.
So you see.
I've seen it like on my I haven't actually watched it, but I saw that it exists. Did you watch it? Is it pretty sweet?
I haven't watched the whole thing. I watched about the part where they found out, oh, hey, this is messing up our radio signal.
I'll have to go and watch it because I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds cool.
Yeah.